Joining us now, it's a Thursday. That means we are blessed to have Brooke Pryor from ESPN. Brooke Pryor, it's a great day to be at Tar Heel. Looks sunny out there in Pittsburgh, wherever you are. As usual, appreciate you joining us here. So, Thursday night football tonight. I'm always interested in this, Brooke. You covered Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma. You saw him at his best. What do you think his future is?
It's not great, whatever it is. And this is, I think, to me, the first time that I've really felt like I don't think Baker Mayfield's going to be in the NFL much longer, at least not in the form that he wants to be in it. And, I think a lot about something that we talk about on Get Up a lot, which is that there are more young quarterbacks ruined than are developed and made into franchise players. And I lean back on the fact that when he came out at Oklahoma, I did not think him going to the Browns was a good fit. I didn't think it was a good fit in the short term. I didn't think it was a good fit in the long term. And I was wrong a little bit in the short term because he helped turn that organization around. But at the same time, I felt like he needed to go somewhere to have the most success that was an established organization, that he was not having to do everything to make them good, to make them relevant, to make them, to get everybody in line. When I look at the way, like, things didn't go great for him at Texas Tech, when he got to Oklahoma, things kind of fell into place. He's playing for an established coach. Yes, Bob Stoops retired and he ended up playing for Lincoln Riley, but it was still a guy he knew. The constructs at Oklahoma, it's like he fit into the system. He didn't have to reinvent the system, reinvent the wheel. And so I think that because he had to do that, it wore on him. And I think that he was not put in a great position to succeed. Some of that's injury, some of it's his own physical limitations. Like, I don't think he was ever going to be a top 10 quarterback in the league, but I think that he could have been serviceable. But I just don't think that he has been put in the right situations, partially because of his own, because of things that he did. But the Panthers, same thing. Like, he's not in a position where, like, he's being developed and nurtured and whatever else. And so I just don't think that he's going to be able to come back from this.
Brooke Pryor, ESPN, joining us here on the Heaster Automotive Group Hotline. Joe Ovis is out today. He'll be back on Monday. He'll be sad that he's missing your smiling face, Brooke. Great flex, by the way. We talk about this often on Get Up. You were spoiled, though, when you talk about Baker Mayfield being with the right coach. You were spoiled. One of your other stops was covering Kansas City. And in my opinion, Andy Reid is the best to ever do it. He's a pure whisperer, pure. Develops quarterbacks, can take broken quarterbacks, see Vic, Michael, and turn them into all pros. So I love that your point of reference is, he's going to this lousy franchise that's never developed a quarterback since Brian Sipe. Because they don't have Andy Reid. I love that.
I mean, look, I have been very lucky that I seem to, whether I find the stories or the stories find me, I end up either with storied organizations, teams, or ones on the come up, or ones that are relevant. I mean, I'm not necessarily following the same level of playoff success at the moment in Pittsburgh with the Steelers, but they're interesting. I've got a first-round quarterback that I'm following, thrown in the middle of the season. I've got Mike Tomlin, never had a losing season, which after a 2-6 start, we may be headed toward that. It's I am lucky, but you know what? Hey, maybe that's what Baker Mayfield needs. Maybe he needs to go to Kansas City and get the Andy Reid school for really rehabilitated quarterbacks, and then he could get back on track. But short of that,
yeah, something will have to have gone horribly wrong for that to happen. And so I'm going to root against that just for Andy's sake and Patrick Mahomes' sake. Speaking of quarterbacks who could use, I don't know if help is the word, maybe just rest. Josh Allen, this elbow injury. I have been questioning all year how the Buffalo Bills can be open the year at 5-1 to win the Super Bowl, move down now to basically 3-1, a little less than 3-1. Brooke, you're old enough to understand. It wasn't your heyday in the 90s when they went 4 straight years, but you are a student of the NFL and you understand, like, the Bills winning the Super Bowl is the equivalent of NC State winning an ACC championship. Like,
that puts it in perspective for me.
right.
Now I
Like,
get
this
it.
is a downtrodden, hard luck, never do well franchise that every time you seem to think the sun is going to shine on them, a lightning bolt comes and hits their, ulnar collateral lateral ligament. What do you think the Bills can do with Josh Allen, short of telling him, hey, man, maybe take a couple games off and see if Case Keenum can direct us through the storm?
That's the thing is I know that their division is a lot more competitive than when you look at the NFC East with the Cowboys. But the Cowboys kind of went through this with Dak earlier this year. They didn't have a choice. They had to rest him. He didn't go on IR, but Cooper Rush came in and he got them through some games and let Dak get healthy. It is a little bit of a different situation because Josh Allen accounts for over 80% of their yards, I think is the stat that I've heard time and again this week. But when I look at what the long-term goal of this franchise is, I think that you have to rest him. I think that you have to at least put him on ice for 1 or 2 weeks because even though their division is more competitive with the Jets, I mean, really close there, and they just beat the Bills. This is not the end of Josh Allen's Super Bowl window, and I don't think that it's the end of the Super Bowl window for this team. But if you keep playing Josh Allen right now and he gets even more injured, and then he's never the same player, you've set your organization back so far. And maybe I'm looking at it from a pessimistic perspective here, but I have seen what an elbow injury does to a quarterback firsthand. I watched Ben Roethlisberger in his last years after the elbow injury. And he didn't really have the same run up to it. He didn't have like the same like definitive injury that Josh Allen had that really affected him. But man, I would play it so safe with him. Start Case Keenum in this game. Let him try for the revenge game narrative here against the Vikings. And if it doesn't go well, bring Josh Allen out the next week, but at least let him rest 1 week, play it safe. I still think that the Bills are going to make the playoffs, even if they rest Josh Allen a little bit. But I think that you just have to look at your long-term trajectory of the organization right now.
It's actually a double revenge tour for Case Keenum. Minnesota this week, Cleveland next week.
I mean, look, let him rip, let him out. Who knows what he's going to do?
Listen, I realize I go to Wegmans too much. I have Bills bags over here. I've got Josh Allen barbecue sauce. Since they traded for my man Nyheim Hines, I'm fully in the mafia right now. I actually think they can win the Super Bowl with Case Keenum. Tell me I'm crazy.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Okay.
See, I say you're crazy, and then I can kind of like talk myself into it, but I need to see it. I am such a I'll believe it when I see it person. If he can come out and if he can distribute the ball to his guys, to Stephon Diggs, and get it to Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox, and I need to see Nyheim Hines.
I was gonna say, give my guy a little love here.
I know. Hey,
come on.
I was getting there. As long as
taking
they can
too
get
long.
The run game going, I know. I'm so sorry. If they can get it to Nyheim Hines and they can get him going, because the run game is something that they were really missing, and Josh Allen was having to carry them there. Nyheim Hines could be even more of a difference maker than they expected him to be at the trade deadline.
Let's stay in the AFC. Hot topic earlier in the week. One of your colleagues, actually, Jeff Saturday, being promoted from ESPN.
And Tar Heel.
That's right. Tar Heel and ESPN. Being promoted from the studios there in Bristol to head coach of the Colts. I did not have a problem with this. I look at centers like catchers in baseball. I mean, they all end up being coaches at some point. I also look at a guy who played for 14 years in the NFL. I think he's a guy who can go in and get respect in the locker room as a former player. Now, please don't misunderstand. I don't think he's going to scheme this thing up. I don't think he's got the first clue as to what goes into the day-to-day operations of being a head coach in the NFL. But I like to say, Brooke, this isn't rocket science. And we love Bill Belichick because he does the obvious and doesn't do, I should swear right now, but I'm not allowed to do that, He doesn't do stupid stuff. And I have strange faith in Jeff Saturday, not to take the Colts on some heater here, but I think he can just do non-stupid stuff. Like, is that bar low enough right now? Or are you
I'm
on we got way too much white privilege here. Jeff Saturday jumped the line. This is stupid. Give somebody else a chance. Where do you fall on this
you
great
know,
debate of 22?
I'm somewhere in the middle because I've gotten to work with Jeff Saturday and I know him a little bit. I think he has the intangibles that you want in a coach as far as being a leader of men, someone who cares about the guys in the locker room, someone who understands, who's been there. I think that those things could help him, but I still think he's put in an impossible position. I don't necessarily like white privilege is certainly some of it, but I also just think there are guys who have worked their whole lives for this within the NFL ranks, guys that are in the building for the Colts right now that they could have gone to. And instead to bring in a guy whose only coaching experience is high school level in the middle of a season, like it in some ways, like the only way that he ever could have been a head coach in this position is to bring him in as an interim, but he needs to have like, I mean, God, at least a bye week, to come in there and like learn the day to day, learn all of the little things. Like it's kind of like when bloggers, maybe get their first newspaper job out of the gate, and it's like, or someone that wrote for fun and then gets put in a full-time job, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden, like there's all these little things that I have to do. Like I have to pitch my story to the editor. It has to go through the copy desk. I have to tweet it out this way. I have to do a headline this way. And like, there's all these little things that maybe you didn't think about when you were just doing it from a 20,000 foot view. And I think that, yeah, exactly. And I think that that's going to be the tough transition. I mean, I think that Jeff is incredibly smart about the game. I like how he leads. I like everything about him. But I think that this is going to be a really tough situation for him to succeed. I hope he does on a personal level, but man, this is so dysfunctional. And the Steelers play there on a Monday night in a couple weeks. So I'm excited for the opposing coach media call.
Yeah, also maybe Matt Canada can outfox somebody. How about that? Brooke
An
Pryor.
NC State UNC rivalry
there
right
you
in
go.
front of me on Monday Night Football.
No. We do not claim Matt Canada, Brooke Pryor. Don't you dare put that voodoo.
You don't want that?
No. Brooke Pryor, ESPN, joining us here. Let you go on this. Packers have lost 5 straight games. It's probably not a great sign that Aaron Rodgers can't beat the Lions, but is his true breaking point still 4 weeks off when he eventually finally loses to the Bears? Is that when we know that it's over for Dr. Ayahuasca?
You know what? I don't know. I have so many thoughts about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Yeah. I don't know when he will accept that it's over. I think it's over now. Yeah. I think that, agreed. Like when I don't know, I don't play Madden, but I do know that they rate all these different categories. I know that awareness is a rating. I don't know if self-awareness is its own category, but Aaron Rodgers has a -10 because, my God, has he ever taken any accountability for himself to go on the Pat McAfee show this week and talk about, I'm great. I've been there before. I've done it. Like, trust in me. If you need something, come to me. My dude, I needed you to not throw 3 red zone interceptions, and there you are. So I think that he is so out of touch with what this team needs and what he needs to do. And he needs to look in the mirror and he needs to stop pointing fingers and know, like, your receivers are not playing up to their potential. You're not running the ball enough. You have disagreements with your head coach, but like at some point, you're the problem. Like at some point, listen to what Taylor Swift is saying. Be like, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Like that's Aaron Rodgers needs to have a Taylor Swift moment and just like realize that, oh, I am also complicit in this and I need to take some ownership and some accountability of what's going on here.
I can't think of a single better way to wrap up this conversation than pointing out, it's me and he needs to have a Taylor Swift moment. Brooke Pryor, catch her on ESPN. Get Up. I mean, she's fancy. And every Thursday right here on the OG. Brooke, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the Steelers' latest loss. And we'll talk to you soon.
Don't put that on me. I'll talk to you guys next week.